Hi, it's Kristen. Today I'm going to show you how to do a quick pencil sketch in Photoshop. This is going to be the page we're making. I have found a cute free stock photo on pixels.com of a cute little bunny. And the reason I liked it so much was because here at my house we have a lot of wild bunnies that run around, and especially springtime, right before Easter, all of the bunnies come and they love our yard, probably because we don't have any animals. But anyway, I love looking at them. I love seeing them jump and play, and just seeing this picture of the bunny sniffing the dandelion just was really cute for me. So that's why I chose this picture. Anyway, I'm going to show you how to make this today. I'm also going to show you a few other tips in regards to how to put texture on a paper using a picture that you may have taken of, say, for example, stones or barks of trees that you may have photographed, and you want to use that as texture. Or you can even use other, papers from a scrapbooking kit and change that into a texture if you wanted to use your own texture for your backgrounds. I'm going to go ahead and show you quickly how to do that in addition to the pencil sketch. So let's begin. I'm just going to open up a new workspace. And now I need to fill this in with a background. The background and foreground color here with the color pickers. The colors that I'm going to be using is, for the foreground, it's going to be E4E 0D7, and that's like an off-white ecru kind of color. Now, I'm going to go ahead and you can add this to your swatches, and when you do that, it's going to bring up a library, which you don't need to hold up, but it'll end up putting it right here in your swatch area. If you don't happen to have swatches set up in your panel, it's very easy to do. You just go up to Windows and select swatches, and that will put the swatch box in your layer above your layer panel. Anyway, let's continue. So now that we've selected the foreground color, I'm going to now choose the background color, and the background is B0A69A. And again, you can save it to your swatches. You can even name it. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it. And this way, if I need it later on, I can just click here on my panel. So what I'm saying is, if, for example, I'm going to set this back to the default for here for our colors by clicking D on my keyboard, and that resets it to the default of black and white. Now, if I didn't save those colors to the swatch panel, then I may be upset that I can't get the exact colors that I want if I didn't write them down. So here with the foreground, I'm going to go ahead right in my swatches, and I'm going to click on the color, and there's the E4E 0D7. You click OK, and now I'm going to do the same for the background color. I'm just going to click here on my B0A69A. Okay, so now I got my background and my foreground and my background colors set, and now what I want to do is I'm going to go up to filter, and I'm going to do render and clouds. And what that does is it takes the foreground and the background colors and mixes them together and forms a cloudy formation. Now I want to smooth this out just a little bit. I'm going to go back to filters. I'm going to grab the blur and the Gaussian blur filter, and I'm set at 9. It mixes them a little bit more and smooths them out. If it's not smooth enough for you, you can do it again, or you can even set your number higher if you wanted this a little bit smoother. See, and as you change your settings, it will smooth it out so it's not as fuzzy. Once you've gotten that done, here is where I get the texturizer, and you can do this with any photo that you've taken, or like of stones and bark. And also you can use, you know, papers from a paper pack, but I'm going to go ahead and use this picture that I've taken of a stone wall when I was out to dinner with my husband. I had taken this the other day, so I really like this. So now in order to use this for a texturizer, we need to save this as a PSD file. So if you do File, Save As, and make sure that this says PSD, and you click Save, it will save that as a PSD. So now going back to your page, I'm back here with the rendered cloud background paper. So what I'm going to do now is go to Filter. I'm going to go to Filter Gallery, and with that it brings up all of these different filters, and what I want is the texturizer. Now we want to use that rock wall that we just made, and the default comes up, or anything you've just recently used. I used canvas, so that's why this shows canvas here. That's one of the settings that's in Photoshop. But here with this little menu, or they call it a hamburger, I don't, just click on that and you can load your own texture, and that's why we had saved the rocks as a PSD file. So if you click on load texture, it'll bring you to your files on your computer, and I'm going to just choose this, which was the rock. And as you can see, it has now put the texture of the rock into my background. You can adjust this by adjusting the scaling, which will make the rock bigger or smaller. I like it at 50. And then this relief is how much of that is if it's all at 0, there's no texture at all, and the higher the relief is, more of the texture comes out. So if you really want it texturized, have it up at about 13. I'm going to drop this down to about 5, and that is a good texture if that's what you wanted. So as I was saying, I did this so I could show you how you can make your own textures, but I'm going to go ahead and go back here to where it says texture, and I'm going to choose the canvas because I really like the canvas, with the setting of scaling at 50 and the relief at 5. My light is going to come from the top. So if you wanted to add more than one texture, all you would need to do is down here at the bottom, there's a new effect layer, just like you would in Photoshop. Adding a new layer, this adds a new filter. So currently now we have double texturizers. You can add, if you wanted, the rock along with that canvas and blend it, and so now you have a mixture of your own texture that you made, plus the canvas or whatever other textures you want in there. You can add a green to it. Any of these kind of filters, all you just need to do is add a new effect layer. The way you remove it is the same thing, as you click on it and then you delete it. So I'm just going to go here with the canvas, and I'm going to just select OK, and that brings it back into my workspace. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get our photo. I'm going to use the bunny, so I'm going to File and Open and get the bunny picture, and I'm going to go ahead and slide that into my workspace. Just grab it and slide it in and put it where you want it to go. I'm going to just resize it just a little bit by transform and scale, just so I can resize them a little bit. Okay, he's exactly where I want him. And now I want to duplicate this layer. So you can duplicate this with a Control J, and that adds the the new layer. And also we want to change this layer to a black and white, so I do that with a Control Shift and U. That's the shortcut to do so. Or I'm going to just go back. That's to desaturate. Or you can utilize an adjustment layer by doing the adjustment layer and clicking on black and white. Now when you do the black and white adjustment layer, you can adjust the shades. Like this was a green, so you can make that a little bit brighter so it brings out his fur, because we're looking at all this fur, and that's going to be really great with the pencils. And we also want to click on this box here, so this will automatically clip the adjustment layer to the colored picture. Once we have that done, you can also highlight that and the adjustment layer and merge that as one. So now we have our black and white. So what we want to do now is we want to duplicate this black and white layer. So now we have two, and we want to invert the top copy. So by doing Control and I, inverts it. Now that looks really pretty terrible, and I understand that. It kind of looks like a negative. But we're going to fix that. If you change your blend mode, we're going to change that to a control color dodge. Now it looks like it's completely gone. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to go to Filter and Other, and we want Minimum. And when you click on Minimum, it will bring it back as if it's a drawing. Now you can adjust this radius. I like to keep it, I'm going to keep mine at 1. So there we have the radius of 1, and so now we have a little bit of a pencil sketch here. So what I want to do now is I'm going to add some reverse masks to these layers, because I'm going to utilize some watercolor brushes to paint in parts of the bunny that we want to see. So in order to do that, I'm going to select my layer, and I'm going to hold down the Alt key on a PC, and it's going to be the Option key on a Mac, and I'm going to click on the Add Layer Mask at the bottom of my layer panel, and that will put in the black mask. I'm going to turn off the color picture layer. I'm going to do that same thing. I can easily repeat that, holding down the Alt, selecting the layer, holding down Alt, and clicking on the mask. So now they're both hidden. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and locate my brushes, and I'm using a free high resolution watercolor brush by McBad Shoes, and that's through Brush Easy, and I'll have a link for you after. I'm going to open up the brush panel, and here's the brush panel. I'm going to change the shape dynamics. I'm going to make the size jitter to 80%, and the angle jitter, I'm going to make it 35. So now each time I use the brush, it's going to change not only the size of the brush but also the angle. So you'll always get different maneuvers of the brush. And I just have smoothing checked, but everything else is staying the same. The only thing I'm changing is the jitter and the angle. And you can close that. And so now what I'm going to do with my brush set to white, I'm just going to just brush, and you can see over here in my brush, in the layer mask panel, I'm just brushing in a little bit of the bunny that I want to see. Like I said, I really like him sniffing the dandelion. All right, I'll get a little more of his ear. Now see, I have a little bit of that edging where you can see, so I want to soften that up. So I'm going to use X on my keyboard so it'll reverse over here. If you see, it reversed my black and white, and now I'm just going to use that brush again just to get rid of some of that hard edge. And now X again, so I get back the white, and I'm just gonna ever so slightly, got the edge there again. All right, that looks pretty good. Now I'm gonna go up to the inverted one, and I'm gonna do the same. X to change it over to the white, and now I'm going to white in some of this. And if it's too much, just X and get rid of some. And that looks pretty good. Now I want to hold down my Alt key and grab the color photo and bring him up above the stack. And I also want to do a reverse mask on that, so hold down the Alt key and the mask. And now I want to go ahead and use a different brush. Choose a different brush in the brush panel. Try that one. And again, you can do the same thing by changing in the panel so that the shape dynamic, it'll be 80 and your angle jitter will be 35. So it'll all, as you click, it will change. So make sure you're on the mask, X to make sure you're got white for the foreground here, and now just paint back in some color. And of course this doesn't exactly look like my first one, but we'll clean that up. I'm going to now change to a soft round brush in my brush panel. And make this a little smaller. If you make a mistake, just make sure that you either undo or you use X to change from black to white. And let's see, I want a little bit more. Let's do X, get a little bit more color there. And you can also change the opacity of your brush up here. So if you want the color lighter, you can go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and add just a little bit more. And basically that's all you do. And now you just want to add in all of your elements. Like I said, I was using this by Kim Jensen, which is using these little elements. Here's the blowing, here's the wind, here's the the dandelion, and that's what I used to create my page here. Of course, you're going to refine it. I used a couple of layers, and I duplicated a couple of layers to get it exactly as I wanted, but just for the gist, that was exactly how I did it. Till next time.